Is this it depends where your company's standing right now, if it's on its knees or if it's surviving. But is this potentially an opportunity for us? Because when we talk about perhaps our ideal customer profiles, personas, our niche, the customers that are still with us on the back end of a pandemic are probably our best customers, are the correct people we should be dealing with, and everyone else has dropped us. Perhaps they are the signature of individuals who we were nice to have. Is this a prime opportunity to really double down on the customers that are buying from us, really research those individuals, and not just from a survey perspective of are we a nice to have or are we required? They are still spending money, so they've got the kind of they're in the game, so to speak. Is this a
Yep.
good opportunity to really look at that and have actual real data on it again, as opposed to a survey of would you like to continue working with us over 5 years?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, honestly, for if you think about it, there's a tremendous amount of, I mean, I don't know, maybe the world's greatest amount of disruption and ever, at least in my lifetime, and which is almost 50 years, not quite. But that also means, so yeah, trauma, change. I mean, obviously, there's people who are like, there's all kinds of things going on. On the flip side, there's incredible opportunity for the companies and the people who are able to take advantage of it and adapt that way. So there's a lot of companies that are, have gone out of business, but there's a lot of companies that are growing faster than ever. Like predictable revenue, our company is growing faster. A lot of companies probably still in the middle zone. So I'm thinking if you look at this as being entrepreneurial, which is taking advantage of problems, creating solutions out of problems. That's what entrepreneurs do. There's a problem, let's create a solution. So now there's more problems than ever before. So that means there's also more opportunity, more solutions than ever before for you and for your team. So yes, one aspect is, hey, what customers have stuck around? And I think too, just there's some more obvious ones like, certain spaces are just hospitality and travel. Like what spaces are just more dead for now, which ones are going to be dead that way for a while, which ones are coming back. So just going back and looking at your customers, the ones that currently are buying with you and happy, and the ones that should be. So it is kind of re-looking at all that from scratch. You probably did it last year. It's time to do it again. And the example is if you're a job seeker, right? There's going to be, obviously, if you were from hospitality, like looking for something in hospitality, going to be pretty hard. How can you convert the skills and talents you've had into something that'd be more relevant to like SaaS? Because SaaS companies, software companies are growing faster than ever. All right, that's the principle. But what people might want is different. So if you were selling, or maybe you're in customer service in a hotel, right? So you might not say customer service for a SaaS company, but again, if you're good at dealing with clients, if you're good at looking at the skills you've got and just redescribing them in the language that might be different to the industry that you want to talk to. Like there's more noise than ever. There's this Uber trend, which really is that the world is getting noisier than ever. That's going to keep happening. It's never going to stop. More technology, more channels, more stuff. So buyers, whether you're looking for a job or looking at customers, are going to have less and less attention for each message you send. So what that means is each message you send, whether that's a phone call, a WhatsApp, an email, social media post, has to be that much more kind of targeted, specific, and translated for the recipient. It's like if you live in England or Scotland or the UK and you want to move to Spain, wouldn't it make sense to speak Spanish? Okay, so if you're switching customers, buyers, markets, you got to relearn the language of that new, relearn, adapt, or change the language of the people you're going to be talking to next. And I think it's just a reminder. It always makes sense. You're like, oh yeah, but we keep following this habit of just talking about ourselves and what we know. The habits are so strong. You really got to make a conscious effort to get in, talk to the new kinds of buyers, learn their language, what metrics, what problems, what pains, what's a day in their life like, and really learn how to kind of put yourself in the shoes of the people you want to connect with.
How does this look practically? Let's say we're a sales leader. The answer might be hire Aaron Ross, predictable revenue, to do some of the work for us, right? But
Yeah.
putting that to one side for a second, because clearly that's going to be the answer to a lot of the questions here. How do we very practically narrow down the language, the day in the life? these research elements that help us build ideal customer personas and messaging and the ability to kind of like scale outreach or build inbound content to attract our potential buyers. What does it look like to actually get that information? What do we need to do?
Yeah, well, I mean, I like things that are really simple, and I think you just got to go talk to three people, three relevant people. Like start there. You don't have, you can call it interviews. That might put, some people, just weird how people are like that. It feels like a pressure. Like, wow, just go talk to three people that are relevant. Ideally, again, if you're in sales, you can start with current customers, people you know. Like that's okay. It's better if you can do it with people who don't know you yet, right? It's harder to go out and get those kind of conversations with kind of prospects who aren't as biased. Because current customers would know you. They're going to be a little bit biased. It's like, you should stop asking for feedback from your friends. Stop asking for feedback from your team. Like they're going to give you horrible feedback because they know you. They're totally biased. They don't know that. The best people who are going to give you the best feedback would be theoretically prospects who don't know you yet. Trickier to get that. So start with what you got, but just go talk to three people. That might be enough. And then after that, you might decide to talk to a couple more. It's like homework. It takes effort, but you got to do it. That's the way to do it to start. The online surveys, I wouldn't do none of that stuff. I mean, online surveys can be great once you have a hypothesis you want to test.
Sure.
But just to get started, go talk to people. I mean, yes, there's one other area that people struggle with, and this might be more like the marketing side. It really is on the marketing side, which is, okay, let's look at our inbound funnel. I mean, you can look at outbound funnel as well and just really kind of get into more granularity around what kinds of campaigns are driving inbound registrations, leads, and meetings that are any good. Because then they're so different. Like social media is different. LinkedIn is different than Facebook. Paid ads are different than direct search. That's another area you could start to try to like drill in on which kinds of companies and what kinds of messages are actually working. Same thing can be an outbound. So, but barring getting some analysis done or having someone on your team do it, go talk to people.
For sure. It seems like there's, and tell me if I'm wrong here, it seems like there's value in having a third party help with some of this research because it can reduce some of the bias of the data that's being received. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, it could be. It could be. There's a bit of to me, it's like you just start by doing it yourself. Talk to a couple people even. And if you want, decide on if you want to expand it, yes, it could help to get a third party, put in the hours too.
Sure.
But sort of like if you really want to get a gauge of your employees and your team and their happiness and their satisfaction, it's really hard for them to give actual honest answers to their manager. It just is. If you need kind of like an unbiased third party, you can, and there's a lot of apps, right? I'm an advisor to a company called Peachy Mondays. You need some sort of third party app system, anonymous something consultant to come in and help that. It's kind of true with customers, but don't let that stop you from going out and talk to a couple of them first. Sure. Just talk to a couple of them. Listen, like really listen. Like stop trying to sell them. We get so ingrained in these habits in the past of selling what we're selling, and like just really kind of stop, kind of catch yourself and just listen without trying to sell, and just understand like how are their lives different? What do they care about that's different? What do they need? How much of that is the same or different from what you've been selling?
For sure. And what we're looking for is a gap, right, between what we are currently doing, what someone wants, and if we can fill it. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, and kind of like the who the right companies are, is that the same as it changed? Who the right people are, same or changed? What they care about, what's important to them, right? And by the way, that's all going to keep changes. It updates every year. It's because again, there's more new competition, market changes, stuff changes. It's like a never-ending adjustment. So you nail it. It's really not. You don't nail a niche once. It's a
Sure.
reach and start there, and then again, as you feel like, okay, I have a good sense of right people, right companies, right message, then your lead generation is going to be in a better place to have some effectiveness. Because biggest waste of time is trying to generate leads, but it's with the wrong kinds of companies, wrong people, wrong message.